under the utmost compression. Subtle forces gather, linear time testing. Dormant for the elect, for others karma pressing. The law is impeccable, above it some professing. Foolish the mortal's lessons still seem as necessary. In what is he investing? Some in the status of an outdated atlas. Feet slip trying to scale a slope up an aspen. Aspiration for the asthmatic Adam Cadman. Arm, leg, arm, head, who's the captain? The ship or the vessel, the head where the feet trail. When the last breath is took, the way up is entrails. Heart versus feather, forever versus never. The iron soft mind coughs your hard stormy weather. Peace be still, every word as a shield. The arrow point sharp so every syllable you feel. Visible to the visionaries, heard in every monastery. Flow like a tributary, the tried and true, the gnosis knows the commentary. Concomitant to the Candlemas in February. The hero bows his back, although the road ahead is scary. The journey lingers, the wounds deeper. Transition from light bearer to light bringer. For everything under the sun, there's a season. For every cause, there is effect and a reason. Fine resin left behind from halal bleeding. Fresh manna, pure water, air and lungs breathing. Flesh tanner, sure order, stare at the heathen. No banner, quiet manner, this trip I'm leaving. Ascension, attention, cycle of the gleaning. No psilocybin, these sober bars you're reading. No simple babble, I beg your pardon, I'm cleaving. To the rock the temple was built upon an evening. Before the day broke and the word spoke, a thought approach. Ancient fire hidden in inner worlds and the opal brooch. And plain as tired wisdom enfolds like a gospel note. The arc of Sothis carry souls onward to a new abode. The darker night is where it shows the truth is that the gnosis knows. The darker night is where it shows the truth is that the gnosis knows. Knows. Minus the mazel tov, the melancholy mask is on. The matrix turns to marathon for those who are masculine. And God forbid if melanin is showing through your epiderm. You consider it epidemic, public enemy one. This manuscript is written on the membrane of a Macedon. Prehistoric pantheons will never die, carry on. Caravans of canons, Moabites and Sayons. The oppressors prey on and look for ground to lay on. Then get bit by a lion, Judah, a lion. These words get sprayed on the wall that fate's on. When the ship come, we phase on. The shift is a phaeton. The burden weighed a ton and suddenly is gone. Yeah, it's the subtle things that make your Aki's heart sing. The bellows from the diaphragm where honey's made from bees' wings. The laughter of a child brings some balance to the bloodstream. When war is at your front door, some peace is a welcome thing. It's the subtle things that make your Aki's heart sing. Aquatic drips from full springs from under earth where life clings. Better than ever, the word in every endeavor. Better than clever, the truth is wisdom ever. If you should doubt it and attempt to count it, just know that this is powered by the force no time devours. No army cowers, no hate can sour. Cause on this hour, the the seed flowers. Before the switching of scenes, let's hope that life finds its means. Allegiance to the right team. The murky water's now clean. The darkened path is now seen. The subtle things are now gleaned. The hero conquers the fiend. Ballast achieved on the beam. As this discovered in a time capsule in future times. Just know in this era there existed an enlightened mind. He carried water, and within its essence was divine. Seated 3 daughters, and the sun whose brilliant lights would shine. This type of light, let's be honest, is a rare kind. He aged gracefully, not hastily, fine wine. The word is arguably the artistry of the Arcanine. Articulate armory in the arteries is aquanine. Abhorrent to authorities with alliances, the sciences, defiances, the answer to truly finding this. Ein is first, Ein soft second, Ein soft earth. Check it for the record, he is vested, he is tested. Golden product from the dark, wet ingested. Mic check it, 1, 2, bipedal. Babes and fetals, prodded with needles, protected nightly by scarab beetles. Not John, Paul, or Ringo, peep the lingo. Awakened souls moving step like the rhythm's equal. Beautiful flowers growing up from fecal. Matters not if not approved by the people. The word.
One, two, 1, 2. Mic check, mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Peace to the world. We are live and direct here on this late Wednesday morning. Glad to be here. Peace, God, science. Peace, Skylane. Peace, Shade, Sienna. Appreciate y'all joining in for this little quick chit chat. I want to talk about what happens today. You know, February is just a dynamic month. Dynamic. But before we get rolling, let's go ahead and take care of some house cleaning. This broadcast is brought to you by 720 Astrology. If you go over to 720astrology.com, you can sign up for the upcoming Intro to Medical Astrology course, which will be held February 22nd, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And the moment that you sign up, you will receive the course syllabus emailed to you in PDF form. I look forward to seeing you there. Also, in 2026, this is a great opportunity to take full control of your total wellness. When we talk about total wellness, we're not just talking about, your physical wellness. We're talking about everything that makes up your being here in this 3-dimensional world and that which connects to the worlds beyond. And we have phenomenal means of helping you restore your sovereignty. And when we say sovereignty, we're not talking about any paperwork. We're talking about full governance and control over your vessel, which is your right to have that. And we have amazing means of giving you access to knowing what is going on with your entire vessel by just taking the clipping of a fingernail. So if you want to know how that works, you go over to circle-oflife.com. I'm rocking the shirt today. Got on my Circle of Life shirt today. Go over to circle-oflife.com. Book your consultation and you can find out how it really works. All right. So let's get into this thing. At around 4:05 p.m. Central Standard Time today, February 11th, 2026, Mercury enters its shadow. Now, I I was going to say never, and it's probably never. I don't think I have Peace Pandora. I don't think I've ever come on and just really highlighted um, the Mercury shadow. But this one is, I feel, is a big deal because there's just so many moving parts in February. So many moving parts. Mercury actually starts his retrograde cycle, I want to say February 25th. Find my ephemeris. I want to say February 25th, Mercury will move retrograde. But let's see. Yeah, on the 25th, Mercury will move retrograde at 22 degrees of Pisces. Okay. But today it enters its shadow. What is the shadow? For those who don't know, it's a quick Reader's Digest explanation of the shadow. It covers the range that the planet will move during its retrograde phase. So that covers the point that the planet turns retrograde all the way back to the point that the planet will retrograde to. That spectrum or that span is referred to as the shadow. So Mercury enters its shadow this afternoon at 4:05 p.m. Central Standard Time, because it will arrive at 8 degrees, if I'm correct. I thought I wrote it down. No, it'll arrive. Yeah, I want to say 8:29. I printed it out. It'll arrive at 8 degrees and 29 minutes of Pisces. That's where the shadow starts. And, traditional astrologers will just, they don't really adhere. That's not the word I'm looking for. They don't acknowledge the idea of a shadow. And the thing about astrology is, I'm gonna tell you something about astrologers. And I know I go back and forth. I say astrologer, astrologist. But astrologers, a lot of them love to debate, and this is why I think it's important that how you got into astrology. See, when I got into astrology, I started first in metaphysics and occult studies. And I think that it's very beneficial for me. In those worlds, and the people who influenced me, it was like, including quantum physics. I never even liked science until I got into metaphysical and occult studies. Science in school, up until an adult, when I went back to school, hated science. And it was just through that world that made me gain a love of science, because it gave it a purpose. Now, from a quantum physics standpoint, which is the scientific way of describing chaos magic, everything goes, everything's possible. Okay, it's all about what timeline you choose to put yourself on. If you have that rudimentary understanding, then it kind of prevents you from wasting time arguing with people over the validity of a technique. Now, some things are just ridiculous. You hear some, I talk about pop astrology, Libras are always gonna Aquarians are all now that's garbage. But when we talk about techniques like, you know, Chiron wasn't discovered until 1977. So we don't include that in chart delineation. See, that's technique. And so people waste time debating on shit like that. It doesn't matter because from a quantum perspective, what matters is, can you see how it shows up in your observation? Can you see validity of its presence in your delineation of charts, in your observation of your own life, right? So here's an opportunity to where you can just observe, because that's part of this. By okay, I'm giving you this date, I'm giving you this time, so you be the observer. So at 4 o'clock, 4:05 Central, Mercury enters his shadow. Now, you're not going to see something just like, aha, right now. You're going to have to study this whole cycle of Mercury retrograde, which will go all the way up into March, and then it won't clear its shadow till, let's see, it stations retrograde at 22 and 30 minutes of Pisces. So that means it won't clear its shadow until April. So spring, we'll be well into spring, like around the 9th, Mercury clears its shadow. So if you want to test um, the validity of the shadow, then you study events that happen between now and the 9th of April, and you kind of go back and you assess, can I see where this, because what the shadow is supposed to represent is where things are kind of hidden from our consciousness, and which helps support the validity of the significance of Mercury's retrograde. Mercury retrograde, look at the prefix re, which means again. It gives us to revisit, to visit things again, and to contemplate and to reflect. You can't even describe the word without using another re prefix. Revisit, reflect. Basically, it's about going over things again. And so the shadow is saying there were things maybe we didn't see initially, and through the process of this moving forward, moving back, moving forward, which is like a pendulum, that we're having a chance to go back over things and then come out of the shadow and have illumination. Okay, so this leads me into why I wanted to even, I want to, before we jump into right into this, I want to take a pause in a minute to just talk about this of Mercury retrograde. Now, all planets move retrograde. Remember, they're not planets, they're luminaries. So they always have, from our perception, direct motion. But all planetary bodies have a retrograde phase. But Mercury is unique because it's consistent. It's going to give us 3 of them every year. And so without the retrograde, life loses some of its value without the retrograde. Why? Because life has no value without contemplation and reflection. You know people like that in your life who never seem to really consciously contemplate. Like, we know people go over stuff in their head, but you know how you know people who don't want to acknowledge it, right? They got to keep that facade, and it's always forward moving. And I know I ain't make no mistake, and I know I'm right, and whatever. So, what is like contemplation and reflection? You are an idiot, and you are poisonous to anybody you're around, right? If you don't contemplate yourself, you don't reflect on yourself, then your life really has it ain't really got no meaning. You just running on bullshit, hot air, right? So one of the clues that the Mercury retrograde gives us is that how do we get the essence out of life? By going back over things, retracing our steps, because it is through the retracing of the steps that we get this word we toss around called wisdom. Wisdom comes from reflection on what? Mistakes. Experience. The word experience means I have made mistakes, but I have learned from them. And that's kind of one of the secrets of that Mercury really is revealing to us through its consistent 3 retrograde cycles in a year. Mercury's retrograde allows us time to think, to act, and then review both. Let me edit that. Mercury allows us to act, to think, to act, and to review. Okay. Mercury does this 3 times a year. Now we know that number 3 deals with perfection. And if you ever watch any of my videos that I've done on the theosophic addition and theosophic reduction, that in this system there are only really 3 numbers. There is the action, which is 1. There is the response or the receptive, which is 2. And then there is the perfection that comes out of the interaction between the 1 and the 2, which is 3. Which is why 3 is used in the Trinity. So we get these deeper, the deeper essence of the significance of Mercury is revealed in the subtlety of what it's showing us by this threefold movement of direct, 1, retrograde, 2, direct again, 3. That's the Trinity. Okay, and I'm building up to something. Y'all stay with me. I'm building up to something. Sometimes we gotta stop jumping into every moment like, well, this gonna happen. This is what this means. No, let's peel the skin back. Let's peel the covers back, and let's get down to what is the core essence of what we're even involved in. Sometimes with all these different, there's infinite astrological aspects to talk about, right? It's endless. Tomorrow it's going to be Mercury is conjunct the North Node, which I'm going to mention in this conversation today. Then on the 14th, Saturn makes its ingress into, but sometimes we got to, well, what does it all mean? Who are the real actors? This is why we just sit and just use words. That's why I'm such a big advocate of studying the etymology. Stop tossing around words. Take the time to explore what you even think you're saying. So that's why we're taking this approach. And this might be remedial for some of you scholars out there, but here's some meat for those who are looking for a little more meat. Okay, so I mentioned the 3. Now, when we talk that 3, it automatically brings up that Trinity idea, right? And we know the original Trinity is not Father, Son, Holy Ghost. It is Mother, Father, Son. It is polarities, and then the perfection that comes out of the polarity. Okay? Now, so when you look deeper into Mercury, I'm gonna tell y'all something. See, I got a pack that I sell on my website, 720 Astrology. It's like my educational bundle, and I have in that bundle these laminates, and you know, sometimes I created these things about six years ago, and sometimes you're guided to do things and you don't even know how significant. And this is why you build up your library with resources, right? So for those of you who have this, you take your time and read through some of the stuff on these things, because there are little jewels in them, and here's a moment where one of those jewels can be used, because I break down the meaning of each sign, the etymology of the names we give to these signs, and I talk about the nature of them and the symbolic associations. And one thing I talk about in here is how Mercury is the son of Maya in the mythology. This is giving you clues on how to work with this energy. Mercury is the son of Maya, now Maya is symbolically associated with the Virgin Mary. Now, why is that important? You see, now this is how, when we make this connection, this is why it's important. Mary, who do we associate the Virgin Mary as being the mother of? The Christ figure. And the Christ figure is also referred to as the Logos. And Logos means word. Well, Mercury has rulership of two signs in the zodiac, Virgo and Gemini. And Gemini is associated with communication, the word. Mercury takes rulership of Virgo because when a mother is pregnant with a child, that baby takes rulership of her body. Her nails may be broken off. She may experience calcium deficiency, all types of stuff that the mother goes through. Why? Because she sacrifices her body for the baby. And that's why Mercury has rulership of Virgo. Virgo is really the mother, but it's symbolically giving rulership to him because he's her baby. Virgo is the mother and Gemini is the child. And this is what I'm leading to, is there Mercury is symbolically also a representative of the Christ energy. Not just Leo, but also Gemini through its rulership, through Mercury's rulership. So the word, he who descends into body and flesh, taking the appearance of man. And don't get caught up. This is not about man as a gender. This is man as a species. Okay. And so let's hear it like again. There's mother, father, son, three, Trinity, direct, retrograde, direct, Trinity. Okay. So this is Mercury secretly is showing and reflecting this Christ energy. Okay. So this is just give us further understanding of why this is just not something that's happening. You know, part of learning this stuff is where you make these moments sacred, subtle, secret, a ritualistic, and ritual means arrangement. Arrangements are being made. When you can understand the energy, you become the facilitator of the arrangement and not just the recipient of the arrangement. You become a member of the board by you understanding the energies that are playing out. Okay. So this particular Mercury retrograde poses two immediate challenges. One, Mercury is in its fall in Pisces. Now, from a astrological scholastic standpoint, there are different schools of thought. Okay. So just so you don't get confused if you're starting to study and you're studying debility. Now, Mercury and Pisces can be referred to as in its detriment. Now, but then there's other schools that say, okay, let's use Venus and Mercury because they both rule two signs. Um, Venus would be in its rulership in Aries, and it's oh man, I lost my train of thought. The word it's another word for exile, and it's detriment. And it's detriment in Libra being its rulership, and Venus rules Libra in detriment in Aries. Venus exalted in Taurus, in detriment in fall in Scorpio. Then the other school of thought says Venus rules Libra, detriment Aries. Venus rules Taurus, detriment Scorpio. Venus exalted in Pisces, fall Virgo. So either way, so I'm just telling you this. So if the language does not match up with what you learn, it's cool. Either way, know this. Mercury don't like to be in Pisces. How about that shit? Okay. Mercury is debilitated in Pisces, whether we refer to it as in its fall or in its detriment. It does not like to function in that space. Okay. So here's some things that we got to think about with Mercury in Pisces. Mercury, which deals with I learned this from what's his name, Sam Reynolds. What do you say? The 3 C's: communication, um, commuting, and I think he says community. You know, these little you learn little things along the way to help you to make this stuff easy, because it's a lot learning all this stuff. It's a lot, and you never quit. So that was a cool little, you know, when you learn like those little tidbits, the 3 C's. So think about that. Let's talk communication. When there's a hard aspect between Mercury and Neptune, or Mercury and Pisces, we gotta be mindful of lies, falsehoods, delusional thinking. Now just look at look in the media. Um, hold on one second. You know, all the stuff. Media means magic. And media is ruled by Pisces. Hollywood ruled by Pisces. And just look at all the stuff. So sidebar, you know, like that stuff going on with that funny looking woman from the Today Show. She is something to look at. Ooh. But and you can tell she's got some very low energy. But all that stuff going on. So we probably that things may come out, but probably there won't be like a finality until spring. You know, they're gonna drag this out. And here, let me go on another sidebar here. Given that Pisces rules Hollywood, know this: Hollywood is not the same as it used to be. You don't go to a designated place to experience Hollywood, as in Hollywood, California, or as in your movie theater. Hollywood is everywhere now. And you got to think, this is Neptune in Aries. You don't know what the true identity is. All right. So the world is imbued with Hollywoodism right now, illusion. So just keep that in mind. And that is further amplified with Mercury in Pisces. right now. Okay. Because Mercury in Pisces can also cause confusion. It can cause forgiveness. And I was heating up some rice last night like an idiot. Turned it on, started up, and came in here and started working on what I was going to talk about today. Sitting down writing, and I was like, boy, something smell good. And I'm like, you idiot, you got the damn rice on it. Start sprinting in there, and thankfully, it wasn't destroyed. It's still edible, but there's that absent-mindedness that can happen with Mercury and Pisces, cause Pisces scatters things. So our minds can be scattered right now. Okay. There is this lack of direction that is permeating, right? This is a great time to remember, though, that old Kabbalion axiom, the first one: the mind is all and all is mental. And Mercury in Pisces is reminding us that it's all mind, it's all mental, because everything is now swimming in the same ocean. All the thoughts, all the thoughts are converging all at one time. And you have to snatch them while you can, because what'll happen is you will forget easily. You might have some of the most creative ideas right now. And if you don't stick your net out and catch it, that idea will continue floating on down, and somebody else will stick their net out because it's not yours. It's just that you were at the bank at the time it floated by. You better stick your net out. Okay. Um, okay. This Mercury in Pisces is helping us remember the power of imagination. See, one thing that medical astrology teaches you is that the affliction is the remedy. So we just talked about one of the possible afflictions is delusion and lies and Hollywood making things up. Well, that's also the remedy, because you need to use your own imagination to create your own reality. And let me say something else too. Be careful about messages we're getting. Look at videos and look at the top for AI generated. Okay. Look at the bottom for AI generated, and know this: you got a short timeline for them even telling you that something is AI generated. You got a very short window for them to even tell you. And they're making this like they used to come right out. This is, and you have it in bold print. Something faint on the video, and they only put up for a few seconds because that old occult rule. They got to tell you what they're doing. So but back to, so you got to take the power of using your imagination, because if you don't control and utilize it, somebody else will use your imagination to manifest things into reality. It's big facts. That's Magic 101. C. Freeman L. said, if you don't control your mind, somebody else will. So tapping into your imagination to create the reality that you desire. Meaning, man, I've never been so much on my selfish shit. Like, I don't care if it does not apply to me and these people that I'm responsible for. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not moving, and because you got to understand this: when you are going through things, celebrities do not care about you. A lot of people do not care about you. A lot of your associates don't give a damn. How many people call and check on you? And so you have to assess who's really down and who do I really trust, and the rest, man, fuck that shit. You got to be on, and this is where we talk about magic is real, and it's not spooky. Like the magic is what I have envisioned. That's the shit I'm focusing on. I can't stress that enough. You can't take on somebody else's imagination. And you get your emotions involved, and the shit may not even be real. It may not even be real. And you know what happens when your thoughts lock in, your adrenal system kicks in, all these stress hormones, your blood pressure goes up, you become inflamed, your body's ready to go to war, but there ain't no real war. Then all them hormones just sit in your blood and become toxic. Come on. So focus on what you're doing, on what you have seen with your mind's eye, where you are going, and stay on that. You can watch some of this other shit for entertainment, but don't be taking it, man, for real. Okay. Now, the second challenge for Mercury is that Mercury now is the retrograde that it is preparing to move into, or does no or the retrograde phase is preparing to move into. Okay. Because retrograde is a verb. You can't be in a verb. So it's motion. It's moving into its retrograde phase. Okay. Now, so retrograde of any planet is a quasi debilitation, because the energy of that planet just gets very loud, which can mean it can be too much. There can be too much Mercury. So too many thoughts, too much traffic, too many converging things and ideas, and too much rapid move. Think about all the Mercury attributes. Too much of that, on top of the fact that it's too much inside of a sign it's already debilitated in. So, Mercury retrograde allows signal overlapping spiritual realm. Overlapping spiritual realm, because Mercury is in Pisces. Mercury governs our conscious thinking, okay, communication. So we should be communicating with the spirit that we have identified as our higher spirit. We should be in communication with that. We should be actively working to tap into the mind of the all, the divine, because that is what Mercury naturally is moving through. Remember, the affliction is the remedy. So there's this overlapping. So let's try to sit with this and see, what can we learn from it? What messages are we getting? It's internal. This is internal. Now, it's important to not lose your mind right now. And I ain't saying that to be funny. It's important to not lose your mind. And that's why you have to talk to yourself. So we think people crazy talking. You better talk to yourself. You better talk to yourself when you are spiraling. Like, literally talk to yourself. Talk to your body. No, we're not doing this shit today. We are everything. We are the chaos. The chaos is not attacking it. We are it. We are all timelines converging. Like I'm saying, like I'm mimicking, like talking to yourself when you find yourself starting to spiral. Because there are low vibrational forces that want you to lose your mind and spiral. We ain't never been through nothing like this. We don't have a ready-made roadmap for this territory that we are moving through. All you have is all the work you've been doing leading up to now. All them books you were buying, all those videos you were watching, all the this and that. Well, this is where you put it. You're leaning on that. And now it is not theoretical, it's applied science to move you forward. Now, okay, let's deal with this. That on tomorrow, like I said, this February is so dynamic. So we got Mercury enters the shadow today, but then tomorrow at 1:11 p.m. 1:11 p.m., which 1:11 is the total of the letter Aleph when you spell it out. Aleph, Lamed, Fe adds up to 1:11. And you know, Aleph is telling you that the divine power has been placed inside of man. It has been hidden. Aleph is that power itself. Lamed is movement forward because it is the ox goad, and the Fe is the Fe is the mouth. Power to even utter and speak existence or what we have seen into existence. 1:11. Okay, so 1:11 tomorrow, Mercury will be conjunct the North Node, 9 degrees, 54 minutes of Pisces. And this will be the first contact, you know, this year with Mercury with the North Node. Now, Mercury rules the opposite sign, South Node. So it's like it's the complexity of the layers of the, I mean, it's like not only is it conjunct the North Node, but it's the ruler of the South Node. Listen. This is where you gotta your show me state mentality. Because what is happening is we are getting an alignment with the North Node. Our minds, all of the stuff we talk about with Pisces, with delusional thinking and lies, it's the toll that we got to pay to get to the promised land. It is like, it's okay. We have to go through all of that because there's something greater. And the greater is that Mercury aligns with the North Node. So in the midst of all of the negative side of the stuff on the spectrum, we got the positive side is that this is where our mind is fused with the mind of God, or the all, if you will. Okay. And you see, you know, when we talk Pisces, we got to juxtapose it with Sagittarius. Why? Because in traditional astrology, Jupiter rules those two. Jupiter takes on its masculine form in Sagittarius, feminine in Pisces. So in the masculine, we want to go out here and profess Sagittarius. This is what God is. This is my philosophy. This is my higher truth. Here's an institution that will help us learn this. I will share this perspective through this higher institution. You will come to learn this higher truth. Well, in Pisces, Jupiter is not going out. Jupiter is coming in. So Pisces then is telling us that the divine is not a theory. It's an experience. And this is what the North Node ultimately is bringing to us. We must experience divinity. That means it's hard for Mercury in its rulership of its mother's body, where things need to be touched. We need tangible. How are we going to do this? We need a plan. We don't, you know, and plan is great. because you're going to need to incorporate the Virgo into this, because Virgo going to have to come in and organize some of all this chaos. But still, though, that comes secondary. The first thing is what is the lay of the land? The lay of the land is Pisces. And Mercury's coming to contribute to the Pisces energy, not to control it. So that's a clue to understanding debilitated planet. Like, if you got, Jupiter debilitated in Gemini, well, Gemini is about the details. Well, Jupiter is coming to bring some type of theory that will guide how we learn in Gemini. See what I'm saying? You look and see what is it bringing into, because that realm, that space is going to be what it is. So either that planet's going to suffer or the planet learns how to come and work in that space and contribute. Mercury's learning how to contribute to the Piscean experience. Hey, yeah. So your guides told you this, or your higher self told you this. Okay. So your higher self gave you 55 fucking messages, right? This is Mercury talking to the Piscean realm. Like, yeah, 55 messages. Well, can we put those into a category of the top 10? I guess I could do that. You ain't trying to tell me I gotta discredit any of these messages. No, all 55 are important. But can we focus on the top 10 first? That's how you make this shit work. It's a pecking order. First is, what's the energetic field we're operating in? Pisces. Mercury, you don't like to be here, do you? No, I don't. I don't want to get wet. You motherfuckers wet. But I mean, I brought my scuba suit. I get down in the water. So can I offer a couple little suggestions? Yeah, you had to offer. Now, this is where the shit go down. Magic has some type of order to it, so it can be magnified. Okay. And that is where the invitation we have with Mercury conjunct the North Node. The nodes are like the axles on a car. You can't turn left if you don't have the right tire. You can't turn right if you don't have the left tire. They must work together. That's how we got to start learning about the nodes. See, we learn the cookie cutter version. If my south node is in Aries, so it's like I suppose a north node in Libra, where I'm supposed to just become, more extend the olive branch. And no, I must take my Aryan warrior qualities and bring them, turning the axle towards Libra, not to disavow them and just toss them aside. No, you bring them to share, right? Okay. Now, other thing we got to think of. Other thing we got to think of is the fact that in this moment that we're speaking of right now, we got all types of challenges in the sky right now. That's challenging all this shit I'm saying. Gonna challenge me. It's all, so let me run them down. Mars, semi-square, Saturn, and Neptune. Okay. Let's deal with that. Frustration involving feelings of restriction. Courage challenged. Okay. That's the Mars, Saturn semi-square. Mars, Neptune semi-square. Misguided passion, anger, aggression. Ooh. Remember, whatever Neptune touches, as in aspects, it breaks down, it scatters, it disintegrates, it creates atonation. Mars rules over stuff in our body. Water, sodium, brain, sight. This is, all this stuff is regulatory. So Neptune challenging all that. So this is why the anger can be misguided because things are imbalanced, right? The assertion can be misguided. Our passion can be misguided. Neptune, Mars, delusional sense of self, because Mars rules the ego. Okay. Confusion around identity. Confusion around identity. Who am I? Now, Mars is additionally in an applying in conjunct or quincunx to Jupiter. And I mean, that's going to perfect here soon because Jupiter's retrograde is 16 of Cancer. Mars is at 15 of Aquarius. So they're going to perfect probably tomorrow, somewhere in there, tomorrow or Friday. Now, this one is something. This is what I disconnect with family, tribe, race, could be mother, could be around the direction to move forward. A disconnect, because Mars in Aquarius is damn sure moving to the future, looking down the road. This is where I see myself in the future. Mars, me, Aquarius, future. This is where I see myself. Jupiter expands all of the feelings related to Cancer. Because Cancer, why is Jupiter exalted in Cancer? Well, for one, because Cancer gives it the ability to expand. Cancer is the energy of growth. It's where the baby goes to grow. Right? So the swelling of emotion around our roots. So people's direction may not line up with what they mama or their family or their race or their roots or their nation or their tribe. That might be some thing where it don't line up. The idea of who I am evolving into Mars, Aquarius, the associations that I make relative to who I see myself as may not line up with where I come from. And this could go either way. This could be positively or negatively. Sometimes you need to get away from that shit. But then sometimes we forget where we came from. Right? So that's what we got to juggle that. Here's what complicates this. And if I could have used Zoom, I got to find something else for Zoom for doing lives, because Zoom allows me to actively draw on the chart and stuff and show these aspects. But you just got to use your mind, and you got a million softwares now. You can go and look at this for yourself. Here's when you looking at astrology, there's a something it factor that can't be explained in the book, and it's like it's a learned skill, and the learned skill is, I just say this: you got to be like Sherlock Holmes when it comes to looking at a chart. Everything ain't told to you to look for. There's a lot of Virgo when it comes to assessing astrology. You got to really sift through details. So here's an example. So I've just talked about this Jupiter in conjunct Mars. But think about this. Mars is in Aquarius. Okay. And Jupiter is in Cancer. So the receiver of Mars is Saturn. Saturn as traditional ruler. It'd be Saturn and Uranus, but let's look at Saturn because it's applicable right now. Saturn is at 29 of Pisces. Jupiter is being received by the moon, which right now is somewhere in the second decan of Sagittarius. But by tomorrow, by 1:11 p.m. tomorrow, February 12th, 2026, the moon will be at 29 degrees of Sagittarius. So the receiver of Jupiter will be in a last quarter square to the receiver of Mars. And whenever you have an aspect between the moon and Saturn, it brings up internal doubts. It brings a coldness. It brings a sense of a fear of not being good enough, a fear of how I'm going to be seen publicly. I guess the ultimate thing is just absolutely, it's just doubt. So that can further drive the disconnect between Jupiter and Mars. And ultimately, you step back. Sometimes it is so hard because this whole thing we're in is designed to keep you, as you used to say growing up, 90 going north. 90 going north. Zoom, 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 zoom. I'm going. I gotta get here. I'm go. And so if somebody steps on your toe, you're ready to take a bat to them because you're already revved up. We're so keyed up and it's just like my cousin fought in Desert Storm. He said when they would come back from the battlefield, they would have to separate the different platoons because all that testosterone, you can't just turn it off. They want to come back and fight each other because it's just too much testosterone. And so we're kind of living out a war experience. We're always in fight or flight mode. So it makes it harder for us to be reflective in the moment when you're frustrated, your mate is frustrated, the kids might be frustrated in their own little world, and everybody's frustrated, everybody's sleep deprived, and and those things come to a head, and then there might be a clash, and that thing could have been worked out, but it's just that we're on the battlefield, we just ready for war. So I'm saying all this to say, as best we can, if we can try to step back, we got the sun adding to this. We got the sun in a square to Uranus. It's in the last quarter square. Always remember, last quarter squares are a crisis of subtraction. First quarter squares are a crisis of addition. We're being forced to figure out what we need to add. Last quarter, we're figuring out what we need to subtract, because when we subtract, it means we're understanding. We're cutting away the dead weight and getting down to the brass tacks. That is what understanding is. We're disintegrating. Okay? So the moon and Saturn in the last quarter square tomorrow, and the sun and Uranus in the last quarter square. Nervous system overload, angst, sudden inflammation. This is the type of energy that can bring on cardiac arrest. You may want to, these are interesting times for the POTUS, who has his ascendant at 29 of Leo. Very interesting time. Really should pay attention to when Uranus gets to 29 of Taurus. But this right here is a triggering moment because it creates a T-square for him, because Uranus is in Taurus in his 10th house, 10th or 9th, and the sun is in his 7th. So this puts emphasis on either his 3rd or 4th. Can't remember where that is in his chart, 3rd or 4th. So that's interesting. What else I have? I'm almost done here. We're looking at all these aspects because they shape the environment at the start of Mercury's shadow. And remember, the shadow is when things are in the dark and we're moving through things that we're going to have to go back and revisit. And sidebar, while Mercury's in its shadow, we will have the eclipse. So I'll be back. I'll be back to walk through these different things. So let me stay where I'm at. Shape the environment at the start of Mercury's shadow. This is setting the stage for what actions, thoughts, words will be reviewed and learned from during the retrograde. I want to go back and talk about some positives of all of these aspects I've talked about. A push to integrate unhealthy parts. Oh, fix that. Correct that. A push to disintegrate unhealthy parts of the ego. Okay. A push to protect one's energy and set necessary boundaries. It is a reminder that the affliction is the remedy. We are forced to understand that. Finally, forced to differentiate between fake and fact. We're forced to differentiate between fake and fact. And yes, so I'm just looking over into the comments. Peace to everybody who came in later as I started. Oh wow. Sorry about your loss, Nicole. Say her mother was and oh, that is, see, that's when astrology is unnervingly literal. So just lost a mother, and Aries, Neptune has ingressed Aries a few weeks back. So yeah, we're sorry about to hear about the loss of your mother. May she rise in power. Yeah, this is the hard stuff. My son, you know, they go to this fine art school, so they're getting ready for a production, and a teacher had to cancel their practice yesterday afternoon because had a sudden emergency with her father. And I was looking at, you know, when I was getting this stuff together for the day, you know, they sent something out in the little text thing they sent. It's like, you know, we're praying for a miracle. So obviously something sudden happened. And you know what's is that Uranus Sun square, you know, and I was like, damn, so you don't know. But either way, you know, we're sorry for your loss. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. We'll come back here later. Maybe we do that in one of my videos in the future. How to venerate, you know, people when they move on, and to uplift that the identity of that spirit, but also to use that energy. Because that energy is available. That energy is available. And sometimes our people are acting as a sacrificial lamb. Yeah. What all those Aryan qualities of your mother, those things need to be activated into. You see all this stuff around me back here? I would go to these thrift stores or Ross or anywhere, and something that I could find that tap into that person's energy. Yeah, I got my aunt back there who's an Aries back there. You can't see it from here. My aunt Leela. She's in between the two pillars up there. So I just, you play these little games where it's like she becomes the central pillar or the flame because she's an Aries. Aries is the spark, the initial spark. So a candle, I mean, any like, any of those Aryan qualities that your mother displayed, let's lift those up. Let's lift those up. If she had whatever, if she had a certain cigarette she liked to smoke, that cigarette, that fire, that's a torch. That's Aries. It's let your imagination tap into what she wants you to activate in this season, given that her view, her span of her visual span is so much wider than what we got, so when it's all said and done, hope for healing energy for you and your family. That's a tough one. But we also say you in this space for a reason, to where you will have the wherewithal to activate this energy where other folk may not be in the space to even know, that it's available to activate. Well, that wraps it up for this little dissertation on Mercury entering its shadow. I thank you all for joining in. As a closing reminder, my class, Intro to Medical Astrology, will be held on February 22nd, starting at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. You see the ticker rolling at the bottom. You go over to my site and you can sign up. You're investing in yourself when you invest in this. You're going to get tangible information that you can keep with you. Tangible as in you can print this out, you can laminate it, you can save it on your computer, and continue to glean knowledge from it and utilize it. Also, like I said, I'm very excited about going for the last almost 30 years. I moved into the health and wellness space in 2003. That's when I got my start. Here we are 23 years later. But this is on a whole nother level. A fingernail. You'd be amazed. This is quantum physics in action. Quantum physics in action. And a lot of things I have to say carefully because, certain things you can't say what we can actually do. They have to be discussed in more private settings. But I can use the word anything and everything. Anything that you're struggling with, everything can be addressed. We'll leave it at that. So that's circle-of-life.com. Well, as always, know the stars to know yourself. And stay down till you get up. And when you get up, stay down. We're going to leave out with, I feel like closing with something. Oh, man, I want to play something. Let's, we'll close out the broadcast with, let's see, Life in the Balance. I think that's a fitting one. On the top side.
course I'm jaded. What you expect when the cost of goods and services is constantly being inflated. Times is fickle, people with the same heritage as Don Rickle want the whole world in a pickle. If you ain't caking, it's probably trickle. Down started when Ronnie Reagan was round. And the round mound, the rebound could really bound off the spectrum floor. Meanwhile, I knew drugs in town. Suddenly we go to white from brown. Life in the balance got you busting down. But that was then, what about now? The same song plays, the rhythm just different. When the pressure gets applied to common man that's living, may create a murder scene in the place he live in. The world's robbing, no one's giving. It's downhill like Tyson with Robin Given. The soul is frigid when its freedom is inhibited. My job claiming work-life balance. While peeking in my window, I need a balance. Try to escape the grasp of the eagle's talons. Why the matrix say they love me for my talent, but one wrong step and offbeat breath can leave me bereft of connection to self. The medication I need ain't on the shelf. Life is in the balance. For real. Yeah. Whether triple beam or digital, your way up game at all times is critical. Balancing between the physical and spiritual. Not an easy task, avoidance can be typical. The mystical mind of the sage feels the middle pool. Across the abyss, he steps wearing harrow wool. He uses tools as he walks to the land of Shul. The soul is full, speaks the power of the sacred bull. Sacrifice is the opposite of foolish vice. Time and discipline maketh thou the greatest thrice. Best as possible, keep your mind sharp as knife, cause overlooking details causes strife. Life in the balance, whether right or wrong, this is the current plight. Prolong, nothing right now, take flight. Yes, home, the sun first rise at night. The swan song. Life in the balance.